You are tuned in to the Gift of Gab podcast, a podcast where we are intentionally growing, accepting, and becoming the best version of ourselves. We focus on all things healing, wellness, spirituality, self-development, and bettering our relationship with ourselves and others. In every episode, we'll be reflecting on lessons learned through past experiences, setting goals, and helping each other reach our fullest potential. I am your host, Gabrielle Ariana, and welcome to this week's episode. Hello, you guys. Welcome back to the Gift of Gab podcast. I am Gabrielle Ariana, and thank you so much for tuning in. If you are new, welcome. I'm always happy to have you. And if you are returning, thank you so much for being locked in. As always, I hope everyone is doing well this evening or whatever time you are listening. I pray everyone is having an amazing day, an amazing week, an amazing month, and just an amazing remainder of the year ahead of us. So let's just get right into it. This week, we'll be discussing the challenges of outgrowing certain relationships, the bittersweet nature of leaving familiar places behind, and the importance of accepting that not everyone can walk alongside us every step of the way. So I titled this week's episode, Anybody Can Go, because everybody can't come with you. At first, I was honestly conflicted on what it was that I wanted to talk about this week. Every topic or, things that we talk about on my podcast, each time, it's always something that's already been lingering in my mind or something that I'm kind of just in the process of kind of learning or applying or just reflecting on. And so I always kind of wait for like an aligning moment, some type of confirmation or like a revelation that I feel deeply inside of me that lets me know like, okay, this is what we're going to talk about. This is going to be the thing that I can heavily speak on and just, really give my all to, because I have been very intentional in making sure that I want to give my all to each episode and just my podcast overall. It was around 1 o'clock in the morning. I was scrolling on Twitter and I saw this tweet. It was actually the first tweet that I saw when I opened up the app, and it said, everybody can't come. And when I saw this tweet and just what it said, it instantly brought me back to my notes app. And in my notes app, I have different topics and ideas, episode titles, and things that I had already written down before I even released my podcast. It was just when I was in the brainstorming phase, which I'm constantly in. But when I first had the idea of doing a podcast or even just deciding hey, I'm going to do a podcast, I made sure to brainstorm, have some type of foundation that I'm going to build from. And one of those topics or one of those things that I know, it was I wrote down a bunch of things that I'm oh yeah, I definitely can relate to this saying or this quote or this phrase or just this specific thing. But I like to wait for things to mature, obviously. So I don't want to just be oh, these are on my list of things that I could talk about. Let me just pick one and talk about it. No, it has to be aligning. It has to be confirming. It has to be a revelation, some type of something that's okay, this is where you're at in life. That's something that you can really speak on because you've experienced it, you learned from it, you've grown from it, or something like that in that capacity. So again, I'm on Twitter. I see this tweet. Instantly, I'll go to my notes app, and I'm just because when I saw it, I'm this reminded me of something. So it just brought me to my notes app, aligning, right? My subconscious brought me there. And I had already had the topic in my notes. And so I say all this to say that because it's around my birthday, so I just had a birthday. For those of you who don't know, I just had a birthday. So I just reached 27 cycles around the sun this past 2nd of April. And the thing is, what's crazy is that when I decided to write down all these ideas or even build up myself the courage to do my podcast, it was actually around my birthday. The month before I released the podcast in May of 2023. It was around April of that time, my birthday coming up or going into my birthday, of when I was jotting down all these different ideas. So I think it's very aligning, confirming that I would have this revelation around my birthday a whole year later. A good full circle moment. I love those. They definitely happen a lot, and I've been finding myself reflecting on them. And so this year I have been reflecting a lot on just my overall journey in the course of my life and the things and people that I have held on to. And that includes myself and past versions of me, etc. And again, I recently just had a birthday, and it's it seemed like every year of my solar return, there's a lesson that I not only need to learn, but it's a lesson that I still have yet to have applied. And so I found that this time around, it was both a recurring lesson and there was a new one. And I wanted to talk about it. And so that's where the title came from. That's where I had this revelation. And I want to preface by saying that this entire episode, well, a lot of the things that I talk about in my podcast, I do reflect a lot on like relationships, people, growing, all those things. But I definitely want to emphasize the importance of like analyzing or reflecting from an introspective point of view, which is what this is what I'm going to be talking about. I've learned that in life, I've always been someone who, and I feel like I've said this at some point in one of my episodes about how, you know, I invest in the people that I care about, and I want them around. I want to be a part of their life. I want them to be a part of my life, and I want them to be. If I'm investing in you, I have set the intentions out for us to be locked in. Like, there is no switching up, right? I'm there for you for every phase that you are in. I'm there for every chapter, whatever it is that you are enduring. I'm going to be there with you, as I would hope and pray that that's a mutual, you know, reciprocal thing for you to me. And I've realized that, and I've reflected, because I had this revelation. I'm going to speak on the lesson that I kept noticing that was recurring, and then I'm going to transition into the one where I'm just like, this is something that they kind of coincide with one another. So I personally believe that birthdays are, I want to say like a veil lifter, opener, a mask remover, whatever. And I say, like, you know, for myself, I just noticed that it's been very, very common and recurring that I have an experience or witness an experience, not with just my birthday, but with anyone's birthday, where I am seeing that, you know, the people that they're surrounding themselves with, or the people that's supposed to be there to celebrate them, are either, you know, taking things personally. They're trying to serve face and portray that they genuinely care about you or me or whatever. And they kind of can't really put up this facade, so that when it comes to a birthday, the one day of the year where it's centered around someone that's not you, and it's centered around someone that you are celebrating, is where it's kind of like you have to really, really, really put up this front of, this is someone that I genuinely care about. This is someone that I really love, right? So when it comes to that one time where you have to, not really have to, but this is your opportunity to really show this person you really care about them, to really show the person that you're really supporting of them, or you're wanting to celebrate their life. That's literally what it is. So I feel like there's no reasoning behind as to any, there's nothing no one can tell me where it's like, take anything that happens on that day or surrounding that person's day to take it personally and make it about you. It should not be made about you. It should be made about that person. Or if it's your birthday, then it should be made about you. And people should be understanding of that and be willing to want to understand that, because again, this is someone that I care about and I love. I found myself in an encounterment where I was just like, I've realized yet again that, you know, when it comes to celebrating me or someone else being celebrated, when I say that as me being a part of someone else's birthday, to be there to celebrate them, and witnessing how the people that's there to all celebrate that same person treats this person, or just overall, you know, make that person's day, that person's celebration about them, I think it's very telling, one, of how you truly feel about that person. And I feel like that is the opportunity that God, spirit, you know, whatever you want to call it, universe, really like releases this veil. It releases this mask where you can really see someone's genuine, truest intentions that they've always had, that they've done so well at masking and hiding, that to the point where it's this one time where it's focused on someone that's not them. It's almost like you really are fighting yourself to keep this front up, that there's going to be something, and it could be very minuscule, it could be very minor, and it could be something that you think that anyone or everyone around them would have overlooked. But then it's like that inkling, that discernment that you get, where it's like, no, this is genuinely how you feel, and this is genuinely how you choose to handle me on a day that's about me or somebody else. I think that's very telling. It's very personal to me, because it's coming from the place of the fact that, oh my gosh, I see this beautiful monarch butterfly Oh my gosh, I just saw this beautiful butterfly. I'm actually, if y'all just knew what the dedication of things that I do when it comes to recording for this podcast, y'all, one day I'm going to be able to tell that story. But I just saw this beautiful monarch butterfly. It was so big, so beautiful, and it just sat on this car, and it sat there for at least a good minute for me to see it. And I have a recording of it, and it was such an aligning moment. And that's what I mean when I say I wait for those moments of like something that's like letting me know like this is what you're supposed to be doing, this is what you're supposed to be talking about. And I'm just kind of going off course right now, but I'm kind of have to go. I'm going with my heart right now. I'm going, and I'm just existing, and I'm embracing, embodying that my femininity. I equate that heavily to like your creativity, to your heart, to just whatever it is you're feeling in that moment, and really embodying and embracing your emotions. So that's what I'm doing right now. I'm so sorry, y'all. This definitely took a little turn. But I have been seeing the numbers 555 a lot. Y'all. It's been in my frequency, in my aura, in my energy field for weeks now. I've been waking up at 5:55. I'm seeing 5:55, whether it's on the clock or somewhere else or something. I see a lot of angel numbers, but this one specifically has been standing out so much. And the number 5 means transformation, right? And I equate the number 5 to transformation, foundation, building something, because I think of like a pentagon, like a house that has 5 sides. And then, of course, butterflies represent and always represented transformation and changes, right? Like you can go this way, you can go this way, but both ways it's like divinely meant for you to have to take. And so I just loved it. I just saw this butterfly. It was so so beautiful. But you guys, okay, let's get back to track. That was a huge little that was God. That is God, not was, is in the present sense, because God is always here. But yeah, I just had that kind of revelation, and it also put me in this point of reflecting on the fact that everyone can't go. And so I feel like it hurts the most, and it hits completely different, especially when it's coming from people that you just knew they be. Because when I tell you there's people in my life that once was in my life that no one could tell me that we were not going to be in this forever, like that we weren't going to grow with each other through different phases and chapters in life, right? That I just don't talk to anymore, or I've seen things and I've been exposed to things, or God has shown me things. God shows me so much people don't even understand. I promise you, I know way more than anyone could ever think that I know. I just choose to just move out the way and stay in my own lane. But that's been something that I was like really thinking about. But even outside of the fact of other people, because I've definitely been talking a lot about like, not pointing the finger, but other people's actions and how they're maneuvering when it comes to you or someone else. I don't really want to speak. I can speak on that because again, it's important. But then it just made me think like, I'm now sharpening, and God has given me the opportunity in these encounterments that I obviously wouldn't have thought that that's how it would play out, to where I can have these revelations and be able to apply these lessons, or even be able to get the lesson at all. But I'm learning now how important it is to really, really, really just enhance your discernment when it comes to your relationships. But I also feel on the other side of things, on the internal introspective light of it all, to talk about the fact that people are like, outgrowing people. Now, I feel like two truths can exist at the exact same time, because a lot of truths actually exist at the exact same time. And I believe in the fact that sometimes it's really like you can outgrow a person, you can outgrow an environment, you can outgrow whatever, agreement you guys may have amongst each other. And when I say agreement, I mean like a mutual understanding of like how your relationship is, how you kind of maneuver with each other and within your relationship, where it's like not communicating all day every day, but you do communicate when you do, and that's y'all's normalcy. That's like an expectancy when it comes to you guys, because that's how you guys are with each other. Or it's where it's like you have a mutual agreement with someone where you're going to speak with them every single day, and that's kind of like the expectancy. But then something can change to where it's like that's not the case anymore. So I feel like I definitely used to always be someone that was like, oh, you just outgrow people. And I actually saw like I think a TikTok that was talking about that, and I believe that's true to a certain degree, not really, kind of. I personally feel like you don't necessarily outgrow the person. Like, you do, but you don't. You're really just honestly outgrowing the version of you that was aligned with that person. Like, you're outgrowing old versions of yourself that was, aligned with that person and who they were or who they are at that time, or whatever time that you guys are, meeting. And then there's outgrowing the person of you when you're just not aligned with like their morals, you're not aligned with their ethics, you're not aligned with their mindsets. It's just those things are not the same, right? The overall essence of the different components that makes them as a person and how they operate or maneuver as a person has now changed for you to where you don't maneuver and operate in that same way. So you guys, this level of I don't want to say priority, but like, I don't want to say non-negotiables either. Why are these words coming to me? But it's not the words that I'm trying to think of. Like, I'm just like, overall, like, your morals are not the same. Your ethics, like, their work ethic, they're just how they maneuver, right? It's not the same. Your mindset's not the same. Just your priorities in life are not the same. Your view on life is not the same. So once you've outgrown that perspective, that mindset, that way of, that ethic, that view on life or perspective on life, then now you have reached a different level of yourself. You have now went to this different chapter. You've now honestly got to learn or be exposed to a new version of yourself that can now maneuver and walk through life a completely different way than you once did. And so we instantly go to the fact that it's like, oh, I just outgrew this person. But it's not really the person you outgrew, because that to me is looking at an external perspective, when really this is your life, right, that you're living. You should be looking at it from an internal perspective. You outgrew yourself. You outgrew the previous version of you. You outgrew the whatever person that you were at that time, that you met that person that you consistently were at, or not that you stayed the same the entire time, because you could have both grown in different areas of life and that was still aligned. But then you reach a different level where it's like, yeah, no, this is not that it's not working, but it's simply not who I am anymore. I want different. I'm not gonna use the word better, because it's not to say like this person's worse and you're better than them, or you're like a higher level, but it's just completely different. It's just not the same. That's simply what it is. And then I also feel like you can outgrow a person, or outgrowing the person is kind of like when you kind of already see someone as who they are, and you also can like as I feel like you can be in alignment with someone at some point, and they can outgrow the person or the version that they was when you, on the onset of you guys, meeting and creating and building a relationship. And now you're like, I don't accept, or I'm not accepting of this version of them, right? And that still is the same as saying like we're just not aligned. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And the phrase or the term of saying like, everybody can't go, I feel like it's often talked about in a I don't want to say negative connotation, but definitely in a light of like as if the person are just moving up in life and they're leaving someone behind, as if that person is not elevating in life. And I don't want to look at it in that type of perspective, because I speak and pray for growth and love and elevation on every single body. So when it's like I've outgrown the version of me that was once aligned with this person or accepting of who they were at that time, then it's not to say that, oh, they can't come with me, which means, I'm better than them. And it's also to say, like, again, not everyone can go with you, because not everyone is meant to walk the journey alongside you. Not everyone is going to be aligned with the person that you are, or open and willing to be on that same level or mutual growth that you are attaining and, striving towards in life. So I personally look at it as when you're outgrowing an old version of yourself, it's like a rebirth is happening. And I feel so aligned with my birthday, because it's like every time I'm shedding new skin, I'm growing wiser, I'm growing bigger, and I'm viewing life differently in a more, I would say, a wiser way, where I've gotten more gems. I've learned a lot more, and I'm actually applying these things that I'm learning. So it's really helping me in my journey of life. So it's like you're not the same person, but you're also now having to get to know like yourself again and take the previous experiences and people you once knew as a lesson that you learned, or something that was instrumental to your birth or to your rebirth being initiated. So those people that you once were aligned with, that you're not aligned with, they were instrumental to your growth. They were instrumental to this rebirth that's happening, to you becoming this newer person, or whatever it is that's taking place to allow you to be closer to the best version of yourself. And then it's like, when you think of the best version, it's like, what is that? Because I feel like the best version is never ending, because we can always be a better version of the person that we are now. And you can look at it as either, something positive, or any of those experiences as something positive or negative. It's really up to you when you look at like, you're not being aligned with people anymore that you were very close to or once thought would be in your life forever. I used to at first think of it not in a negative way, but like that's it's wild that stuff play out the way that it do. But then it's also like, it's very aligning, and there's a reasoning why things play out the way that they do. We never really realize them until later on, and you have this lesson learned, you have this wisdom, and you now have this new perspective on just how you approach things, how you approach people, how you are with yourself, and just with your own personal journey. Because I've learned so much through other people, I've learned so much through myself, and I can now look at things in a more positive light right then and there, versus it taking me so much time to like really like, I don't want to say heal from these things, because it's not everything's requiring like some type of healing. Sometimes things are just requiring you to really learn the lesson, or to find the beauty in it, the things that you're experiencing. And sometimes those can be things that can result in having to heal in some capacity. Other times it's about like, God, like, I'm going to keep giving you the same lesson over and over and over until one time God just hits you in the back of your head and you finally got that lesson and you're applying it to your life. And I feel like that's what this was for me. A big hit in the head, and then because it came from out of nowhere, and it was just like, okay, this is very eye-opening. But I'm now reflecting on it in even a different light than I was when it first, when I first experienced it, when I first was reflecting on it. Then now I'm just like, Gabby, God is moving you, and there is so much happening for you, and everything is happening for this divine reasoning. And it's not to say that the people that you had this strong, feeling that are going to be with you forever and ever and ever, or just with you on your journey. I've also accepted the fact that it's not the end. It's not a period. It's a comma of the fact that the story is not done. It's not fully written all the way, and that you never know how God can realign you with people too. Because I have full faith and belief in the fact that just because you are not, aligned with someone, or have a relationship with someone, or in a relationship with someone, whether that, again, whatever the form of the relationship may be now, yeah, they can't go with you now. But sometimes there's people that may be able to go with you later, that you may get realigned with. And now that new version of you and this new version of them are aligned with each other. But it took a few seasons or chapters to where y'all were not aligned, that were also instrumental to your growth to get to this next version of you, or another rebirth happening, to where y'all are both now aligned with each other. I'm very well like in that type of perspective of it all. And it's not to say I'm saying that's because I expect in the future to get, no, that's not what it is. I don't expect in the future to be realigned or reconnected with anyone of that sort. But if that's how it plays out, that's how it plays out. But if not, it's still, no love lost, right? Only growth, elevation, lessons learned, and gems being picked up along the way. And so that's been where I'm at in life, And it also kind of made me think about too, on an introspective level, is that I've learned that outside of, outgrowing someone else, like, like I said, like outgrowing yourself or different versions of yourself. I had saw this TikTok, and this was also something I was like, oh, this is very much aligning to what I'm already going to be talking about. And the person had said that the person who got you to where you are now is not the person that's going to get you to where you want to go or where you're striving towards. And it made me reflect on the fact that, a lot of who I was in different relationships at different times in my life, I was a vast majority, 99, 95% of my life, I've been operating in this, in a scarcity, survival mode, unhealed trauma way. And it definitely still comes out, and I be having to sit down with Gabby and be like, girl, your response and your reactions are coming from an unhealed place or an unresolved place, and is resulting in you acting this way or reacting a certain way, whatever. And it made me think that even the old version, or it could be the current version of, me, even you can't come with you to get that best, to get to where you're going. Even you cannot come with you. And when I say that, there's certain versions of you, there's certain habits that you may have, there's certain mindsets, there's certain ways of maneuvering the way that you think, there's certain ethics, morals that you are embodying now that you still have yet to master or, overcome, or even realize that is not going to come with you to where you are going. And I can fully say this because the person that I am now, and I could think back on who I was before and the different ways of thinking that I was operating in, the different mindsets I had, different views, a different way I put certain things on like a priority, or just I prioritized and made very important. If I stayed in that, there's no way I would have been able to get to where I am now. So that person, that version of me was never going to be able to come with me. Otherwise, I wouldn't be here. So even you have to be left behind. And when I say you, it's not going to be in the present tense. It's going to be you in the past, because that's not who you are anymore. She had to get left behind. For myself, people-pleasing Gabby, overextending Gabby, super selfless, never wanted to, pour into my own cup Gabby, she had to get left behind. And baby, I'm still trying to leave her because she's still very much there. And she's wanting to do everything for everyone and wanting to just overextend, because that's been my natural instinct my entire life. I am fighting this girl, trying to shut that off. And so I'm actively doing this. And even on a different perspective of the fact that just trying to instill a different mindset into yourself is like this version of me always thinking, or just someone who thinks not negatively, right? Who kind of instantly looks at things in a negative light. That person can't go with you to where you're going. You have to actively be intentional with shifting your mindset, right? Changing your perspective on things, being open to a more positive perspective, being open to the fact that not everything that is deemed bad or you deem bad is actually bad. There is beauty in the things. Sometimes, it's not to say that it's not bad altogether, but there's some beauty there, And we, of course, would expect or want for things to happen in a more positive, rainbows and roses light, but that's not how you're gonna really learn the lesson for real, truly, because otherwise you're gonna overlook it, like I've been doing for the past however many long, where I'm just like in these encounterments or seeing these things, experiencing these things, and I'm just kind of creating excuses for it until one day I'm just like, you know what, Gabby, God been showing you the same thing with different people. I've learned that different lessons will come up and reoccur in different people until you finally apply it, you finally learn it, right? Take it for what it is. Take it as a gem that God is now giving to you. So even me, right? And I can say this in the present tense because I can look back in the future and hear myself say, even me, even I can go with me to where I'm going into the future, to where I'm striving towards, to where it is that I want to go, to wherever it is God is going to take me, where God is leading me. Because I know that I'm so active work in progress. Truly an active work in progress, and very intentional one. But I know, yes, you can outgrow other people, and yes, other people can outgrow you. There's people that's probably like, this Gabby, this version of her, I am not messing with it, so I'm gonna exit stage left. And I want that for any and everybody, if that's what you need to do. If not being in my life or not not being a part of yours is what you need or want, by all means, it's never to take anything personally. Honestly, I'm gonna say all that. So I'm gonna say that too. Never take anything personally. People are literally living their own lives, and we don't even know the half or the tip of the iceberg of what people really be going through, and the type of things that people are having to deal with internally that never gets brought out to the surface. So it's like, just let it be that. So you can outgrow people, you can outgrow an environment, you can outgrow a lot of things. You can really outgrow yourself, and a rebirth can happen, and it's going to keep happening and keep happening and keep happening and keep happening. Just know that everything that's happening it's instrumental. It is, again, and I'm going to always reference a puzzle, because that's I feel like that's what this is. You getting another puzzle piece and another one, and it's a puzzle that's really never going to be finished fully, because there's always something else to learn. There's always something else that you're going to experience. Y'all, this butterfly done came back. Okay, God. But I'm going to leave it right here. I'm going to leave this with you guys. I feel like it's important to reflect and learn your lessons. And sometimes it's a part of that growth in that journey to not learn it the first time, but to have to learn it again, or again, and again, or experience it until you finally apply it. So, yes. This is a great episode. It's very aligning moment. I see this butterfly again, you guys. I haven't seen a butterfly so long. Like, I saw a baby one, I think in passing maybe the other day, but I barely gave it any type of attention. But this monarch, when I tell you she's big and beautiful, and she is in my frequency, flying around this car literally in circles. I see her, and it's the same one. Okay, so that's just going to be that. I thank y'all so much for listening. I pray everyone just growth, and I pray for just peace, calmness, and rest. And I'm sending everyone positivity, blessings, and love right now. I pray that your day is amazing, and I pray that your life is beautiful and abundant. Thank you guys so much for listening, and I'll see y'all on the next one. Thank you so much for tuning in to this week's episode of the Gift of Gab podcast. Be sure to follow us on all social media platforms at @thegiftofgab_pod. I will speak to you all next week. Thank you guys so much. Continue to grow, accept, and become someone greater than you are now.